All know the story of World War II. Hitler invades a bunch of countries until the majors notice. He's warned and invades Poland anyway. He runs over the Low Countries and France in a few weeks. From here, it started going downhill. They lost the Battle of Britain and therefore lost air superiority. The German invasion of Britain would never come. They then went to the Soviet Union and had a two-front war. They are too overrun to do anything, but did you know how close we all came to becoming a Nazi? Hitler had many opportunities to make sure the British would never rise. The first was at Dunkirk. The Dunkirk evacuation, also known as Operation Dynamo, was when more than 300,000 surrounded men were taken from the harbour of Dunkirk and taken to mainland England for safety. The German leader in the area was Gerd von Rundstedt. Head of the Luftwaffe, Hermann Göring, had urged Hitler for permission to finish off the remaining men. The British had intercepted the message that Göring had sent to Hitler. There was plenty of activity in the area by the Royal Air Force in the days after. The advance on the soldiers failed due to bad weather, the Royal Air Force, and the lack of motorized transport. High-ranking generals called this the turning point in the war. The area was defended by the Royal Air Force and the British Navy, so that any transport fleet could safely transport troops. They had over 800 various ships in the area. Many commercial small ships, like ferries, were encouraged to take as many soldiers as possible. Many soldiers that had been saved at Dunkirk then went on to invade Normandy. Another thing that went wrong for the Germans happened billions of years before they even turned up. If Pangaea had broke up differently, the Germans could have done much better. The Germans could have easily ran over the British if Britain wasn't an island. Think about it. Germany defeated France in a few weeks. Britain would probably take more time, but they would still be overrun. And if they didn't have a two-front war, they could probably have sent the Soviet Union back to Siberia. Next, there was Operation Barbarossa. Hitler wanted to invade the Soviet Union because the German people required Lebensraum. That was the German word for living space. He wanted to drive all Russian people out of their motherland and put German people in their place. He was also ideological enemies with them. If they hadn't invaded the Soviets, or at least had wait until they overrun Britain, they could have won the war. But then again, the Luftwaffe was no match for the Royal Air Force, who had much more spirit than the Germans. Another thing that went wrong was with supply lines. Ultimately, it was the Soviet spirit and the winter attrition that beat the Germans. If they had deposed of the Soviets earlier, ending the war before November, improving the supply lines, it would have been easier. Italy could have also done much more in the war, but they didn't do as much as the Germans wanted them. Japan had done a lot, but not as much as the Germans again wanted to. Finally, the main reason why Germany lost the war was overextension. They took too much land at once. Their soldiers were good, but Germany's total population in 1939 was about 70 million. With Italy and Japan, the Axis powers' total population was 210 million. Compared to the Soviet, French, American, and British populations, not including the colonies, which was 388 million, and keep in mind India had upwards of 350 million people, that their numbers weren't as much as the Allies had. The Allies also had industrial superiority when the USA joined the war. You think that they learned their lesson from the First World War because the Americans were a huge help to the battered Allied soldiers in the First Great War. But Japan had to bomb the Americans. Oh well, I hope you guys enjoyed this little spiel of alternate history. Have a wonderful day.